Hey guys, it's 101R Smith and I am back. That's right, I'm back for 2019. I had to disappear for a little bit, deal with some personal demons, and get my hand healed a bit in order to build again, but I am back to give you more content this year, and hopefully you'll stick around and you'll enjoy what you'll get to see here. This week we will be taking a look at the Master Grade V2 Gundam Verka, or the Victory 2 Gundam. This Gundam is one of those that I have been sitting on for quite a while. I've always wanted to build this, however I've heard that not only the Victory Gundam, but the Victory 2 Gundam aren't exactly the most prime Master Grades. One famous YouTuber has described the Master Grade V2 as the ship in the bottle of all of Gunpla, and that in itself is very intimidating. But I always like the look of the V2 Gundam, and as soon as Bandai announced the Victory 2 Gundam Assault Booster, I cannot say no. It is one of my favorite designs, just from an aesthetic and a weapons look, but goddamn, I cannot pay that price. So I figured I find it that would have been more cost effective if I had just picked up the kit by itself and then get the Assault Booster kit on its own. There's no way in hell I'm paying $150 even if it's gold plated. I can't afford that. So here we are with a Verka from Katsuki Hajime, the last one he put together before the Thunderbolt. I'm somewhat intimidated by it, but it can't be that bad. I mean, the Victory 2 Gundam is small. It can't be that complicated. So why don't we open up the box and see what we have here. When you open up the box, the V2 Gundam, you realize there really aren't that many amount of parts or runners that are included here. You're going to get 2 duplicates of the A runner because of the fact that you have to build 2 V flyers and 2 heads. Otherwise, a lot of the build is very straightforward and it's your traditional Gundam colors. One thing, if you're wondering if it recycles anything from the Master Grade Victory Gundam Verka, that is not the case. 95% of this kit is brand new, but the only recycled runners from the Victory Gundam happen to be the beam weapon parts, and that's it. Otherwise, this is a model kit that is designed from the ground up, specifically for the V2 Gundam. I do have to note that I love the choice of yellow. It's a good mustard yellow, and it has a fair amount of inner frame parts, so you at least know that going out from the inside of the box, the transformation was built up to be a defining factor of this kit. Otherwise, it's very standard detailed Verka Master Grade. All built up, and now we have the Master Grade V2 or Victory 2 Gundam. Definitely have to say that the strong presentation of this kit is one of the selling points. One of the best representations of the Victory 2 Gundam I've seen. All the colors are great and it has a ton of detail, though some people might not be a fan of the red circles. Fortunately, those are stickers, but you could paint them on. Even though I do have to note that after the F91, this is probably the smallest Master Grade I've ever held in my hands. I mean, this thing is even smaller than Wing Gundam. They were definitely trying to save plastic back in the early 90s, but the presentation here is definitely very strong. While presentation is strong, let's see how this Gundam articulates. Like always, we're going to start with the head. You get a slight hinge going back and forth in 360 degrees. However, I feel it's a bit limited because of the transformation. Now with the arms, you're not going to get really much of a hinge going frontwards. Most of the articulation is actually going to come from the shoulders, but it can go 360 with no problem, and you can get some replications of said shoulder going frontwards. The arms, you're going to get a double jointed elbow. You are going to get ball sockets for the hands. They are the traditional swapping hands you'll see. You're going to get absolutely no waist articulation whatsoever. However, the fronts and side skirts can pop out for you with no issue. You're going to get a decent double jointed knee, but no foot articulation, or at least not that much, as a lot of the toe pointing down is for the transformation. I find articulation be serviceable, if not somewhat inadequate. Just like with any other model kit, the V2 Gundam comes with a couple of accessories. While not a lot of it is more of the offensive, you are gonna get another flyer and another head, which will go into the transformation. But these accessories are hit and miss in my opinion. Let's go check it out and see why. First up, you're gonna get your traditional beam rifle. This one was fairly well put together, a couple pieces slapped together, a few clear pieces that you can either paint or put foil stickers to, and it does the standard job of being a beam rifle. But I have a couple problems with the connection. Just like the Wing and Z kits with the V2 Gundam, you're gonna wanna have to swap out the hands to hold this weapons. However, unlike your traditional Wing or Seed kit, there's no peg in the palm of the hand. A lot of the weapons are going to be held by friction and the thumb. However, once force and or gravity is introduced into the equation, it's not going to be holding that beam rifle a lot with confidence. With it as well, you're going to see here that it's just not that strong. When you add in the grenade launcher combination, it just amplifies the problem even more so. It's a little bit more heavy and it just cannot get the full extension. With the grenade launcher, it is also a few more pieces, so you do have to take the beam rifle apart, look through the instruction manual, and put it back together as in one piece. And you can get maybe a few decent poses out of it, but to me, I don't know, I feel like the combination of no pegs and just being held on by friction and gravity is just not a good equation, and it just doesn't work for me here. Next up, you're going to get a few beam accessories. You're going to get two very thin beam sabers, and you're going to get the beam fan, but the fan really doesn't work. I've tried before filming this, and it just not hold together, so I gave up. Next biggest accessory here is the Victory 2 Flyer. Now, just like the original Flyer, you're going to have another head in here, which you can add a scope to its eye to add a little bit of differentiation between the two, but you're going to be spending the bulk of your time just building the kit, building the two flyers, the body, and then the head. Well, I do like the scope on the face. I felt like it would have been better if it were a clear piece instead of brown, but let's get to the transformation. The transformation I found to be difficult but not infuriating. It's better than Zeta 2.0. It's not as frustrating, but it is time consuming. I don't think it holds a candle to the Double Zeta Verkosh transformation. I think that was done a little bit better. Or Wing Zero, Proto Zero, where it was just so simplified and straight to the point where it wasn't infuriating at all. The transformation is adequate, it takes time, and everything has to connect together or else it will not work. Here we go, we're at the end of this review, and I'm gonna be honest, if this review comes off as half-assed, it's because it partially is half-assed. Not to say that the kit itself is half-assed, but there are just a plethora of problems that are very difficult to ignore or avoid. The strong point about this kit is it's a very good representation of the V2 Gundam in terms of looks and aesthetics. This thing was designed very well, and it just looks amazing for a master grade, and that is expected of a Verkosh. However, there's just a ton of problems when it comes to building. For example, the elbows just come off very easily. No matter how many times I try to snap it on to the hinge, it's very easy to pull apart the arm and you gotta put it back together. I have a problem with the fact that there are no pegs on the hands. I know they're small, but I wish there were pegs so that you can hold up the beam rifle just a little bit better. I couldn't even try to hold up the beam fan. And a big problem is just I hate the lack of articulation. This thing is essentially a brick. The lack of articulation, especially on the legs, hinders the V2 Gundam on ground. This is a model kit that desires and mandates an action base. But even if you get an action base, there's just so much you can't do, whether it's legs or even the arms, because the arms are either going to fall off because the hinge isn't that strong, or the weapons are going to fall off because the hands aren't that strong. There's just a ton of problems here that just can't be ignored. And Jabman was right to say that this is the ship in the bottle of Gunpla. This is a very easy to build, but it's just hard to maintain, and it's just a model kit that I can't recommend on its own. I'm sorry. I would not have bought the Victory Gundam if it was just by itself. Maybe the Assault Buster might add more things to it that might make it more desirable, but on its own, other than being a completionist when it comes to mainly mobile suits, I would not get the Victory 2 Gundam, or even the Victory Gundam with that. I would just... This is a hard no for me, guys. I'm sorry. This is 101 R. Smith, and I will see you later. Peace.